Hi, this is Lori. I'm doing a video today in my interview series. Today we have with us Jasmine, who has lost over 100 pounds, and we're going to talk to her about that. If you find this useful at all, please hit that like button and subscribe button. Jasmine is also a content creator. Her channel will be linked down below in the description. So when you're done watching me, hop on over to Jasmine's channel, like and subscribe. I want to remind everybody that I am not a healthcare provider. My guest is not a healthcare provider. We're talking about what works for us. So Jasmine, why don't you tell us a little something about yourself?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me
Thank you.
here. I'm really honored to do this. This is my first interview, though, so I don't really know. I feel a little bit nervous, but so basically, I've been on a weight loss journey and sharing it here on YouTube for a little over a year now. But I started my weight loss journey. It's been about a year and a half, and I'm down close to 150 pounds now. I've been on, thank you, I've been on a compounded GLP-1 medication, tirzepatide, for the entire process. And so, yeah, that's kind of my story.
And so, but basically, this is going to be kind of like a conversation, and I do have some questions that I'm going to pop in there so you could relax and we'll
Okay.
just go with it. So, what made you decide to use a GLP-1 medication?
Yeah, so I have tried to lose weight on and off. I've been yo-yo dieting for about the past 10 years. I'm 29, so pretty much since my like early 20s is when I really started to put on a bunch of weight. I gained over 100 pounds within about a little over a year. Just going through some stressful life situations, and over the course of the past 10 years, I kind of went up and down until I got to my heaviest weight after I had my daughter back in September of 2023. That's when I hit my heaviest weight of over 340 pounds. And so, pretty much after I had her, is when I decided that I wanted to start taking my health more seriously. I kind of had a rough delivery and had some complications afterwards. I had postpartum preeclampsia, and I basically was going into heart failure. And it was, I was 20, I had just turned 26. No, I was 26 when this was going on. Um, and yeah, I don't know, it kind of hit me at that point that I really wanted to be here and be healthy for my daughter, but also for myself. And
Mhm.
so I decided that I was willing to do whatever it took to get the weight off. And that includes, trying things like a GLP-1. I had heard about GLP-1s. My mom had actually been on one briefly for a couple months. She tried it out and she didn't really like it. But she did, mention to me maybe it's something I could try. This was before I ever had my daughter, and I was still trying to lose the weight naturally. And I was really hesitant to do it just because it was so new and I just didn't know a lot about it. I didn't know a lot of people on it. Um, but yeah, I would say after having the like almost near death experience after having my daughter is what really made me decide I was ready to try it. And I just figured, at that point, I had nothing to lose except a bunch of weight. So that's when I decided to try it.
So I saw your transformation video on TikTok. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've been sharing my story on TikTok as well. And I've gotten more followers on TikTok than YouTube, but I definitely feel like my YouTube audience has been more, I don't want to say like loyal, but I guess more like they follow along on the journey. I feel like TikTok is, short form content, so people come and go. But yeah, I've really enjoyed sharing my journey online. I think that has been really helpful in this process, just having a community to kind of share my story with and, doing my weekly weigh ins and stuff. It kind of holds me accountable, which has been good. I think it's good to have that.
Yeah. So I was also watching the other day that you had like a really down moment. Do you want to tell people how you get over that or how you handle that?
Yeah, so I think that was actually like maybe yesterday or the day before I filmed that. And honestly, yeah, I was just having a really kind of down day. I just wasn't feeling great. And I just kind of thought I wanted to share that because I wanted to show it's normal, even.
It is.
Yeah, I show a lot of like the highlight reel and a lot of the before and afters, and that's all really positive, and that's great. But I also feel like it's good to be real and kind of show that there are downsides in every journey. And there are days when I don't feel like doing anything. Like, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like sticking to my calorie deficit. I don't feel like doing what I need to do to keep on this journey, but we still have to show up anyways. And so I don't really know how to get through those days besides just getting through it and, you know, keep pushing, keep showing up regardless of how you're
Right.
feeling.
That's one of the things that I've noticed with the GLP-1 community is how supportive they are, and it really helps sharing stories like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. It's really, and I have followed a few people on YouTube and on TikTok who are also on GLP-1s, and I think it's really cool how the community has grown so much. I feel like there have been so many new people kind of entering the space, and um, it's just really awesome to see so many people having so much success with this medication. I think it's something that we haven't seen really with, anything like as far as like
Right.
weight loss tools in the past. It's been really amazing to see.
Well, why do you think it's having so much success? Is it because people like are endorsing it, or celebrities are actually admitting that they're on it?
I don't know. I feel like more so it seems like just regular people, like people like us who are online,
Mm-hmm.
talking about it. I feel like that is also kind of helping a lot of people decide, I'm gonna go ahead and try this. Cause yeah, like I said, I mean, back before it was super popular, I mean, I had heard about it. I had heard celebrities taking Ozempic and whatever, but even then I was still really hesitant. But I feel like the more that people are coming out, just normal people, and saying, I'm taking this and having really great results. And, I think people can relate to that more than even like the celebrities and stuff like that. So
Were
it's,
you afraid when you started, or just give it that go ahead shot? And
yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really afraid. I think if anything, I was kind of skeptical, like that it would really work for me. Um, yeah, I feel like I honestly did not know what food noise was. Like, I didn't even know that was a
Mhm.
term until I started the medication.
Same
And
way.
yeah, and then I started watching other people talk about their journeys, and then I heard them talk about the food noise, and I'm like, oh, like that's what that is. I've had that my whole life, and I didn't know it until it was gone. And so yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
It's kind of amazing the amount of clarity you have when it's gone, and we didn't even know what it was.
I know. Yeah, it's like I've been walking through life just kind of with this thing that I didn't even know was there. And it makes it really difficult. And so I don't know. That's why like my mom, I had mentioned she had tried it for a little bit and then she stopped it. And since then she's kind of been against it. She's on like she's one of those people who just thinks that all it really does is like suppress your appetite, and that's all it does. She, I guess, didn't really see the like mental
Hmm.
health aspects of it. And I just feel like I don't know if that's like I don't know. I feel like most people get that though, like the food noise being gone. And so I feel like for the people who don't see benefit from it, I just wonder if they're not getting that same aspect from it. I don't know. I guess different people respond differently to it.
Did you have any side effects or anything when you started?
Um, no, and honestly, that's the other thing. I was a little bit nervous because I had heard about all the side effects people were having, but honestly, for the most part of my journey, I have had very few side effects. I know that, the semaglutide tends to have more side effects than the
Hmm.
tirzepatide, so I don't know if that's why, but yeah, aside from just like occasional GI issues like everyone has, I haven't had any like major nausea or throwing up or anything crazy like that. I have had a few episodes, like probably maybe 2 or 3 episodes of like really bad GERD, to the point
Hmm.
where I actually was having like sulfur burps and stuff like that. Um, but that was like a one off, and I don't know if that was related to the GLP-1. Um, but other than that, I really have been really lucky in the side effect region of things.
So, how has your relationship with food changed since before you were on the medication to after?
Yeah, so I feel like, before I was on the medication, I definitely have been a person who's always struggled with like a binge eating in the past. And so I feel like, that has changed in the sense that I feel like I have more control over that. I am the type of person, though, who I really believe in calories in, calories out. That's kind of
Hmm.
my philosophy with weight loss. So I don't have like any food rules or strict, foods that I like are off limits or anything. Honestly, I eat a lot of the same foods that I used to eat when I was heavier. It's just I'm eating a lot smaller portions and I'm not binging on
Hmm.
them like I used to. And that has been what has worked for me. And, there through my yo-yo dieting in the past, that's honestly been the only thing that's ever really worked for me is like doing a calorie deficit, but allowing myself to still eat like what I would consider normal foods for myself. Um, so yeah, and I know it's kind of controversial in a sense because some people feel like you have to eat like healthy. Like I wouldn't say my diet is healthy in the way that most people would think. Like I don't eat a lot of fruits, I don't eat a lot of vegetables, I have a lot of food aversions to stuff like that, and so I do eat a lot of processed foods and things like that. But I will say I have made small adjustments and tried to incorporate more protein when I can, and
Hmm.
finding ways to, make some foods that I was eating a little bit healthier. But yeah, I haven't made any like major drastic changes, I guess, aside from the binging. I'm no longer
Well, I
eating.
mean,
Yeah.
the science of losing weight is obviously you have to consume less calories than what you're putting out. So, no matter what you're on, whether it's a diet, lifestyle, or medication, I mean, that's just the science. Have you found that your tastes of food have changed? Because like there's some foods that I used to like before I started the medication that just don't taste the same.
Yeah, I have noticed a few things. Like one thing I've talked about a lot is I've noticed like frozen chicken tenders from like the grocery
Hmm.
store. I've had a hard time finding any that taste good, and I used to like eat those all the time, like just Tyson or whatever
Hmm.
brand. And I have noticed that I can't find a brand that really tastes great to me with that, so I don't eat those much anymore. Um, but yeah, honestly, I haven't noticed a ton of changes, but that was one particular thing I've noticed. Um, yeah.
Okay, so uh, do you take supplements with your foods or?
I do. I take a fiber supplement. Well, I try to. I try to take a fiber supplement. I think that's really important being on a GLP-1. And then I also take magnesium,
Hmm.
and I've heard a lot of people take that as well, and that can be really helpful, especially with, the GI and like constipation and stuff. Magnesium helps with that. Um, and yeah, those are the only, I guess, GLP-1 related supplements. I also have been recently taking digestive enzymes. I started when I first started my journey, I was taking digestive enzymes, and then I kind of fell off for a while, but I started taking them again, and I feel like they are helpful. So I'm currently on 12 and a half milligrams of tirzepatide, which is
Hmm.
like 15 is the highest dose. And so I noticed that when I went up to the 12 and a half, I started having a bit more constipation and just more GI issues. And so that's when I started incorporating the digestive enzymes again. And I do feel like those have been helpful.
And they say the magnesium helps with that also. And
Yeah.
helps with your sleep.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Those three things I think have been the most beneficial.
So I obviously saw your workout videos. What type of workout do you do along with the medication?
So I have really focused a lot on strength training since the very beginning of my journey, which I think doing that has really been beneficial, just helping to kind of try to build but mostly preserve muscle mass. I think is really good because muscle burns more calories than fat. And I think also just with like helping with my body composition, like recomposition and stuff like that, it just has helped me. I have a lot of loose skin since losing 150 pounds, but I feel like strength training has kind of helped to minimize that to
Hmm.
an extent. Which is, helpful for just like the mental side of it because it's hard to lose a lot of weight and then like not like how your body looks afterwards. So yeah, strength training, and then I do cardio as well. And at this point, I go to the gym 5 times a week, and I do strength training 3 times a week, and then cardio. I was doing 5 days of cardio, but I've recently cut back just because I've actually noticed that when I was increasing my cardio, I kind of was hitting a plateau. I think my body was just kind of stressed out and my cortisol levels were high from doing a lot of cardio. And so for the month of July, I actually cut back on my cardio and I noticed that I kind of broke my plateau. I actually lost more weight in July than I did for like the past 3 months, like on a monthly basis. So I do think that has helped. But yeah, I think overall, prioritizing strength training is probably the most beneficial thing.
Do you have a goal weight in mind, or do you set several goals, or?
Yeah, so I think at this point I'm kind of wanting to hit a range. I would just like to be in the 130s. So I'm 5'3", I'm pretty short, but a healthy weight range for me would be anywhere from like the 120s to 130s. I have never been in the 130s in my adult life. I can't even remember the last time I was close to the 130s, honestly. But yeah, that would be ideal for me.
So, what other diets have you tried in the past?
I have tried a lot of different diets. I've tried keto, I've tried Weight Watchers, I've tried being a vegetarian at one point, and vegan and stuff like that, counting carbs and, um, yeah, I don't know. None of those like diets have ever really worked for me. I just feel like they're not very sustainable for me. I feel like they could work for somebody like, who likes to eat a certain type of way, like naturally. But if you're trying to like force yourself to eat a certain way that is just not natural to you, I don't feel like it's really sustainable. And so I feel like that's why I've always kind of leaned into the calorie counting. That's just what's been helpful for me. I mean, I did Weight Watchers for a little bit, and I know a lot of people have had a lot of success with Weight Watchers, but I don't know. I also feel like it gets kind of convoluted sometimes with like the points, and I feel like you can kind of work around things and end up eating more calories than you think you are, because it's within your points. And I feel like I'm the type of person where I just kind of want more of a straightforward, you know, kind of type A personality, I guess.
Yeah. Even Weight Watchers has now switched to a GLP-1 platform.
I
So,
saw that. Yeah. I feel like a lot of weight loss platforms are now incorporating GLP-1s, which is interesting. I wasn't I paid for Weight Watchers for a little bit, but then I switched to it used to be called iTrack Bites, but it was basically like the free version of Weight Watchers.
mhm.
And I noticed they are now called Healthy. And I noticed they have also started selling GLP-1s and having a GLP-1 program, which I thought was interesting. Seems like everyone's kind of jumping on board.
So, what do you think about the compound situation these days?
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty crazy. I honestly, for a while, was thinking it was gonna stop, and I feel like there was a lot of like fear mongering going on, but it seems like they're not stopping. I mean, the pharmacy that I get mine through hasn't really put out any official statements or anything, but every time I talk to my provider, they just say, things are just gonna keep going how they've been going, and so I don't know. It's kind of I also have heard that the lawsuits have been dropped recently by Eli Lilly with I think Empower Pharmacy. So it seems like they're starting to kind of back off, which is good. I feel like I'm not against like name brand GLP-1s, and in fact, I wish I could afford them.
Hmm.
If they would make it more affordable,
Absolutely.
I would gladly pay for it, but I feel like for most people, it's just not affordable. And insurance, a lot of times, won't cover it, which is, it puts you kind of in a hard spot of how can I afford these medications? And even now, I mean, I'm still paying a lot of money, even for the compounded stuff, but I hope that in the future, as they start bringing out more, you know, GLPs and they start making it more accessible, then maybe the price will come down when there's more competition,
Hmm.
uh, and just make it more affordable for everyone.
I know personally, I'm looking forward to the orforglipron, which is the pill,
Uh,
because I'm on maintenance, and for me, like it seems like it would be a little more even, and I don't care if it's not quite as powerful because I'm on maintenance.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I would love to try a pill. That sounds really awesome. Do you know when it's like coming out? Or
It's supposed to come out probably like the middle of 2026 or so. And even Eli Lilly is talking about like a $200 a month price for it because it won't need refrigeration or anything.
Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, that would be
Yeah,
really awesome.
yeah, because these companies could get rid of compounding if they would just lower their prices to 199, 250, depending on which one you're getting and so forth. And
Mhm.
because who wouldn't get name brand if you could get it for right around the same price? Yeah.
I know, yeah, honestly. And I don't know, it's kind of interesting because I don't know, have you ever tried the name brand?
I
Or
have because my wife is diabetic, so like I get the compounded tirzepatide, but she gets the Monjaro,
yeah.
and like during the shortage, a lot of she would use mine, and then when she got hers, like we would just switch off, and then with not knowing what's going to happen with the compounding, I had like a 7 month stockpile, and I don't want that expiring. So we're both using the compound because her Monjaro has a 1 year bud date.
Yeah, right.
So sometimes I switch off and use that, like if I'm in a hurry, because I take it before I go to work, and
Have you noticed like a difference? Does it feel
not at
stronger?
all,
No.
not the same. Yeah, the pen's kind of handy, but
Yeah,
I have no problem drawing it up.
yeah,
And
yeah.
plus, I do tend to get more out of just a dose, especially since I'm on 7.5. And, don't tell anybody, but I order 15 so that
Oh.
it'll last 2 months.
Right. Yeah, I know. I saw that I think it's Eli Lilly that they made it to where you can't do that. You can't order,
Right. Every
different.
45 days, if you don't order within 45 days, they jack the prices back up to regular.
That's so just it just kind of shows it's all about, greed, and it's really, really sad because yeah, they're not I saw or heard something. It was saying they did a study and showed that the like Eli Lilly and all of them, their like profit margin is far greater than like even after like all the research that we're supposedly paying for, they're still making like a huge profit
Yeah.
off of, in America.
They,
Off
they say the dose costs $5 to make. And
Yeah.
if you're going to get the pen costs, $1 or under.
That's so insane.
It is. And I noticed, like you were saying, that the lawsuits were dropped. Well, just yesterday, Nova Nordisk with their new CEO, uh, and I use air quotes, meaning bullshit, but he brought up like 15 lawsuits, including Mochi and all
Oh
the
my God.
providers and stuff. So, like, oh, that's going to start all over again. But I'm sure they're expecting it. So,
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, a lot of these pharmacies are trying to fight it at least, which is good. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think the pharmacy I use is, I don't think they've been sued or given a lawsuit or anything. But I don't
yeah.
know. I think they're a smaller one.
Yeah. And, hopefully it sticks around. From what I hear, and I don't know how true it is that this is more for the next generation, for the retatrutide and stuff, so that they don't have a problem with that. They're kind of you know sacrificing the trizepatide and
Like they want to
semaglutide
protect
for the next
the milk.
generation. So we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
so, have you ever thought about what you would do if the GLP-1s weren't available? Would you go to Lilly Direct, or would you just try, without it?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like at 12.5 milligrams, I definitely couldn't afford to do Eli Lilly Direct. I don't know. I'm maybe would try to like get the cheaper, like a maintenance dose, maybe like a 5 milligrams or something,
Mm-hmm.
'cause that's a little bit cheaper. But yeah, there's no way I could afford to keep on the milligrams I'm currently on. Um, I'm kind of nervous to try to get off of it just because I've heard so many people who have gained their weight back. And I mean, at the end of the day, I still believe it really comes down to a calorie deficit. And so I know that as long as I'm keeping that in check, that, theoretically I'd be okay. But also, I feel like, I don't want to have extreme hunger or like cravings like come back,
Absolutely.
make that really
Because
hard.
yeah, that's the key to this. It takes that. Besides suppressing the hunger, the GIP goes to your brain, gets rid of the food noise and the cravings, and how your dopamine acts and so forth. So, that's all part of it.
Yeah.
So let's talk a minute about your channel. Tell us about your channel, and why you started it, versus just TikTok and so forth.
Yeah, so like I said, I did start my YouTube channel. It's been about a year ago. I actually like originally started it back in like 2016. I had uploaded a couple videos. When I first started the channel back in 2016, it was meant to be a weight loss channel. And I tried to document my weight loss journey. I actually did a reaction video recently, kind of looking back at all my old like failed attempts at weight loss essentially because I did like restart my journey like a few times on
Mm-hmm.
the channel and then I like made those videos private. But when I restarted sharing my journey again a year ago, I had already lost about 70 pounds on the GLP-1. And so I was, feeling good about that. And um, I had been making a few vlogs, just kind of like day in the life, like vlogs as a new mom and stuff, because I had just had my daughter. Um, and then I posted one video where I kind of talked about my GLP-1 experience and how I lost 70 pounds in about 6 months. And that video got quite a few views and some traction and, a lot of good feedback from people. And so at that point, I pretty much decided I was going to start sharing my journey again. And so I started doing my weekly weigh in vlogs. And I also have made a lot of other just like what I eat in a days and like also videos just kind of talking about different like mental health aspects of weight loss and mindset and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I've been doing. And, it's been a slow process to grow a channel, but it's, it's getting there. I think right now we're at like a little over 4,000 subscribers.
Hey.
And yeah, so it takes a while, but once you get the hang of it and start learning how to title your videos, correctly, and how to make thumbnails, I feel like that kind of helps get the process moving quicker. So,
And just so everybody knows, her channel is going to be linked below in the description. So again, please check that out, like and subscribe to her channel along with this channel. It really does help. Um, so have you had any negative comments on your channel?
I have. And I think another thing that I've done with my channel, I think that's helped a lot, is I actually will upload my TikToks as shorts on my YouTube. And my shorts actually do get quite a bit of traction. And I think that's where a lot of my followers come from. But I've noticed that with the shorts, when you have more people seeing your content, then you have more like trolls essentially that will find you and kind of come for you. So yeah, I've definitely had a handful of people that have just been kind of ignorant and rude, but I try not to respond to those comments. Sometimes I'll make like little video responses, like, and talk
Mhm.
about them if they're annoying enough. But yeah.
It's a good way to handle it. Uh,
Mhm.
so what do you think is the biggest misinformation out there on the GLP-1 medications?
I feel like, some people think is just like a magic bullet kind of situation. It's just, some magic potion or something, and that you don't have to actually put in the work to lose the weight, and that is just so far from the truth. And I feel like especially the longer you're on a GLP-1,
Mhm.
being on it now for over a year and a half, I mean, it definitely is not as effective as it was like the first month I was on it, and the weight loss does slow down. I lost like, I want to say like 26 pounds the first month I was on it. And here in the past several months, I'm averaging like anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds a month, and I'm like doing all the same things. I'm upping my dose of the medication, and cutting my calorie deficit. And so it definitely takes a lot of work, and it doesn't just make the weight fall off, and it still is going to take time, and it all depends obviously how much weight you have to lose.
Mhm. Of
But if you
course.
have a lot of weight to lose, then it's still going to take a lot of time. But I do think it's a tool that is really amazing and has been really life changing, for me, and I think for a lot of people.
Do you weigh yourself weekly, daily?
I try to stick to weekly. Sometimes I'll get curious and I'll, weigh in, but for the most part of this journey, I've stuck to once a week, honestly, because I feel like when I do weigh every day, it's kind of bad for my mental health, because the scale is a liar, and that is one thing I have
Mhm.
found out, recently. In the month of June, I believe, I made a goal of mine to weigh in every single day, because I just was curious. I had seen something that said people who weigh in daily lose weight more quickly. And so I wanted to test that out. And I found that during that month, when I was weighing every day, it was like my emotions were on a roller coaster, just with the scale, going up and down. And so I don't feel like it's good for me. I know for some people it works and helps keep them in check, and that's
Mhm.
fine. But everyone's different. I feel like for me, it wasn't a good thing.
So with all this stress and weight loss, has it affected your mental health at all?
I feel like the weight loss, it has helped in a way.
Mhm.
I've shared, I made a video where I kind of talked about how I got fat, and I talked about how I felt like a lot of what my issue was. It was the binge eating for one, but I think a lot of it was also depression. I've dealt with depression my whole life, like since I was a teenager. I've been medicated for it on and off, and um, so I feel like, I've been medicated. I pretty much got on an antidepressant right after I had my daughter, because I knew I didn't want to have postpartum depression and deal with that. And so I knew I needed to get on something right away. And I'm glad I did because I feel like that, along with the GLP-1, really did help to kind of make this possible. It's really hard to lose weight and to, care enough to take care of yourself when you're dealing with depression. But yeah, I think losing weight though has helped. And um, I feel like I still have bad days, obviously, but
Hmm.
not nearly as much as I used to, for sure.
So you mentioned that your mom is somewhat against the medication. What about other family and friends? Are they supportive of it? Do they know about it or?
Yeah, so my husband is actually also on a GLP-1. He's
Mhm.
on semaglutide and he's lost a good amount of weight. He's lost about 70 pounds himself. So he at first, it's funny though, because for a long time I was on it and he wasn't. He didn't start it until a couple months after I did. And when I was doing it, he was kind of hesitant himself. Like he was, not really wanting to do it, felt like it was, I don't know, he was just had hesitations. And obviously he since has changed his mind and he's, really had a lot of success with it. But as far as like my other family members, I don't have a ton of family, but I know for one person, my grandmother, I recently went and saw her for the first time in a long time. And, I look a lot different because I've lost a lot of weight since
Mhm.
I last saw her. And she asked me, well, how long are you going to be, how much more weight are you going to lose? And she was asking me how I did it. And I was telling her about the injections. And she was kind of hesitant too. She's older, so I guess she has her different views on weight loss. And, she herself has struggled with her weight her whole life and kind of done all the fad diets and stuff. And um, so, yeah, she's been kind of against it. She doesn't want to try it herself. Um, and yeah, other people though that I've told, honestly, I haven't really gotten a ton of negative feedback when I've told like friends and stuff. They've all been pretty neutral about it. And
Speaking as one of the older people, one thing I have to say is like, and it still goes on today. You go to the doctor, and they treat the symptoms rather than the cause. And I
yeah,
think that's where the GLP-1 medication is a little bit different. Besides treating the symptoms, it also treats the cause.
yes.
And that is a huge difference in medicine. And I know a lot of people my age just can't grasp that because we're just so used to going to the doctor, getting a pill, poof, done, over, no questions asked. That's basically, how my generation,
Hmm.
viewed doctors and sickness is, oh, go to the doctor, get an antibiotic, you'll be all better. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's interesting. Like it is like kind of a generational kind of mindset around healthcare and, going to the doctor and stuff. It's a lot different amongst different generations, I guess. I feel like the younger generations are more, you know, I feel like we're more wanting to kind of speak up for ourselves and ask questions and ask for help. And I feel like the older generations definitely just kind of
Mhm.
do what they're told kind of thing with doctors and stuff.
And I think that the internet and the commercials that are on TV about the medications that are geared more to the public actually do play a part of that. Because at first I was totally against those commercials, but I've had a little bit change of heart because, you know, how could more information out there really be a bad thing? But yet we're not letting the doctors make the decision. So you kind of have to, weigh it in and out. How do you feel about commercials to the public?
Yeah, so I am a registered nurse, and so I do
Mhm,
deal with a lot of I'm a hospice nurse, so my clientele is mostly elderly people, and I definitely have noticed that they have a different, I guess, mindset around medicine and stuff like commercials and stuff. I feel like are more geared towards that population in a way. And it's kind of interesting. I feel like the younger generation, they tend to get their information more so like online and even from like social media, following other people on social media. I feel like that's where younger people tend to get more information versus the older generations, will see commercials and, I don't know. I feel like commercials are good because it kind of can open up a conversation, but at the end of the day, sometimes people who don't have a medical background, they don't really have all of the knowledge to really
Right.
fully understand like all of the consequences of side effects and things like that. So
Right, or any contraindications or so forth, because you're also putting your doctor in a weird situation where if you ask for a medication and they say no, are they going to get sued? Or yeah,
yeah, right, yeah. But I think it is important. I mean, it's good to, be able to ask questions, but at the same time be able to, listen to what your doctor's advice is and take it for what, his, you know, education and background is, I guess.
it's funny because like I do CT scans for a living, so it's like I work in an outpatient center, and I think we have like 11 different locations in like an hour and a half area drive. And when I, especially when they found out that I had this channel, uh, I found out that like 12 or 13 of the people are like secretly on the medication. It's like that was a huge surprise to me.
Oh, really?
It's like I don't know why they're hiding it, but I mean, you don't necessarily have to broadcast it, but why are they hiding it?
Yeah, right.
And I think part of that is the bad stigma that's with the medication.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it is getting better.
It is.
With time, it seems like the stigma is, slowly going away. I feel like people like us who are talking about it and
Mhm.
sharing our experience is really helping a lot with that.
Yeah,
So
that's
hopefully
kind of
one
why I
day,
started this interview series, is so that people could hear from other GLP-1 users and their experiences and so forth, and hopefully it answers some of their questions that they would have on their journey.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
what would your best
I
advice
feel
be
like
to?
I don't know what's wrong with I don't know if it's my end. It's kind of
Yeah, you're I
like
kind of can't hear you.
yeah, this sound.
You're sounding kind of robot-y. Are you good?
Yeah, sorry, my phone died. I
It's
guess that's what
okay.
happened.
That's no problem. Um, so we'll start off again here with what would be your best advice to somebody starting off on the medication?
Yeah, so I would say just take it slow. I feel like, some people want to rush to get up to whatever dose. And I personally stayed on the loading dose of 2.5 for, I want to say at least 3 months before I
Hmm.
upped it to the 5. And I've really taken my time and kind of spread it out. And I only recently, like about a month ago, increased to 12.5. I had been on 10 milligrams for quite a few months before that. And so I feel like just kind of trying to really take it slow and spread it out, especially if you have a large amount of weight you're trying to lose, just because, once you hit that max dose, there's no going up from there. So just really try to get the most benefit the longest that you can, because it definitely does slow down. Like the effects of it will kind of wear off a little bit, not completely, but they will diminish the longer you're on a dose.
With all of your weight loss and some of it happened quickly, did you have any problems like hair thinning or anything like that?
Yes, yeah, no, I literally am like going bald. It's been really dramatic, and I still don't really know. I don't have any tips for that. Um, yeah, my hair has fallen out a lot, and at first I was not sure if it was postpartum hair loss, but I'm pretty sure now that my daughter's going to be 2 in September, so I'm pretty sure this is a lot of it now is related to the weight loss. Um, so yeah, that really sucks, but I would say just getting a haircut that kind of helps to try to conceal it. Like a lot of mine is up in the crown, so I get like these side pieces, and then I also recently got my hair dyed one color because before I had like some under part highlights that went all the
Mhm.
way up here, and I felt like that kind of made it worse. But yeah, I feel like just getting a cut and color that helps to kind of minimize the appearance is kind of the best you can do. And then I've tried different supplements. Like I tried Nutrafol for a little bit.
Uh-huh.
That it's super expensive, and
It
I
is.
couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't afford to
Mm,
keep doing it. Um,
mhm.
I did notice though, like when I was on it, I didn't really feel like it was doing much, but when I stopped it, I noticed my hair started falling out a lot more. And then I also tried the Viviscal because I've heard Nutrafol and Viviscal are the only like hair supplements that have any actual like clinical research behind them. The Viviscal I took for a few months. I didn't really notice any huge differences. I stopped it because it has iron in it, and iron
Mhm.
can be constipating, and so I was feeling like I was having some issues with that, so I went ahead and stopped it. But hopefully it'll start to grow back maybe once I get into maintenance and stop eating
It
anything.
will, it will. Some people say that biotin helps. Some people just increase their calories for, like, a little bit for, like, a month,
Yeah.
slowly, like, increase them, 50 to 100 calories, a couple days. Some people say that helps, It's it's a tough one. Now, you mentioned that your husband takes the, semaglutide. Have you considered that as an option, price-wise? Because it is a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, it is. I have thought back actually whenever we were thinking they were gonna ban the tirzepatide, I actually had thought about switching to the semaglutide. I mean, I guess if it came down to it and if one was available and one wasn't, then I would make the switch. But I definitely feel like I've had really great results with the tirzepatide, so I'm willing to pay the little bit extra to keep having, the results that I've had, while it's available. And so, I mean, hopefully, as they keep coming out with better meds, I can try
Mhm.
those at some point. I'd be interested in trying those. But yeah, you definitely pay a premium to get, the tirzepatide versus the semaglutide. But I mean, my husband, he's had really good, results with the semaglutide too, though. So I mean, I don't know how I would react to the semaglutide. I've heard some people actually switch from like tirzepatide to semaglutide just to see if it would like work
Mhm.
differently or re-kickstart their weight loss. And so I've kind of considered that at some points, but yeah, I don't know.
Uh, have you heard anything about, I forgot the exact wording of it, Most Favored Nation Act, where, they won't be allowed to charge the United States any more than what they charge other countries without getting, tariff and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that's going to help a little bit with accessibility and price. I
Yeah.
don't know how long that'll take. I'm not a very political person, but however it gets done, and I don't think it could just be one person. I think it's got to be uh, the entire Senate and House that have to actually make a law of that, not just one person or one party. So I'm hoping that that's going to help with some accessibility and price.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know. Something needs to change. It's just really ridiculous. And I feel like most, the majority of Americans are overweight or obese at this point.
Hmm.
So it's like most people could probably benefit from being on this type of medication. And you would think that if more people had access to it, even if they charged a lower price, they would still get, more people buying it. And so the
Right.
profit probably wouldn't fall off that much. I mean,
I think the profit will go up because instead of having 100,000 people per se, they'll have like 2 million people at a
mhm,
lower price.
yeah.
And because obviously charging what they're charging, the stockholders aren't happy. So
Yeah.
something's got to give.
Yeah.
So that's not obviously working in anybody's favor except a few billionaires maybe, but so. Yeah. We'll see. Hopefully, like I said, another thing, not just this next generation, the generations of medication coming after it, like I think in the next 8 years, there's probably 25 different kinds to choose from.
Yeah.
Uh, and the only thing that really worries me is they're thinking about ones that you take like once a month or every other month. And, sounds like a good thing, but what happens if you start having side effects? It's not like you could have dialysis and get it taken out of your body.
Mhm.
It's like you
Yeah.
there's not a lot you could do. And then you have the problem of patient compliance. A lot of people can't remember to take it once a week, let
Mhm.
alone if they're taking it on a monthly basis.
Yeah. That's interesting. I haven't heard of those, but yeah, I think that would be. I think they're going to come out with a lot of different options here. There's just a lot of
Absolutely.
money to be made on it, honestly.
There,
But
there is. It's, you know, like what is 70% of the world's population could benefit from this medication just on weight
Mhm.
alone, let alone the other health benefits that they're just figuring out, like sleep apnea, heart disease, liver disease, uh, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, it is a miracle drug, really.
it is.
It's crazy.
So yeah, I appreciate your time. I don't want to keep you all day. Do you have any, thing you want to say to close this out, or
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. I really do
thank you?
appreciate it. And yeah, thank you guys. And I don't really have anything else to say, but I really enjoyed this. So yeah.
Thank you, and thank you for your time. And again, Jasmine's information is going to be linked in the description. So help us out, like, subscribe, and definitely learn. And Eli Lilly Nova Nordisk, if you're out there listening, lower your prices, get better
Mhm.
accessibility. That's
Yes,
that's the name of the game.
please.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for joining me here.
Thank you for having me. Bye bye.